Hey everybody, it's Nick here again for Grayscale Gorilla. I am the Gorilla, and in this short tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to use the new connectors in Cinema 4D version 12. These are a series of short little videos on just how to set up these really basic objects with the new dynamics and some of the other new features in Cinema 12. So let's jump on in and let's talk about some connectors. If you've played around with anything, or if you've watched the other short videos I've been putting out, you see this dynamics folder now kind of has a lot of different objects. It used to just be that rigid body, but some of these new ones, other than the other soft body and stuff like that, we have connectors, springs, force, and motor. And today I just wanted to talk to you about the connectors and what they are and how to set them up. So if you come in, let's just make two cubes. I'm just going to make this first one and make the second one kind of come over here. And what we want to do is we want to connect these two cubes together with a hinge connector. So by default, when we click on this connector, by default, it's going to be on a hinge connector. Now, there are many different types, and we'll go through some of these options as well. And actually, Cineversity has some really cool videos on how all of these actually work if you want to get more detail. But we're just going to start with the hinge now, really basic. Grab the connector, and the one thing to remember about a connector is it has to go where you want the hinge to go. It's kind of mechanical, right? So where we want the hinge to go is right between these two spheres in the corner. So what we want to happen is one sphere is solid right here, and then this this cube is solid. This cube is going to hinge down around the connector. So this will be a hinge and it will fall down. So let's connect these two together. In the connector, you're going to see object A and object B. Now, in most cases, it doesn't matter which is object A and which is B, except for like Ragdoll, I think, is one of the only ones that matters. And we can get to that some other time. But just know you need to connect these two objects using the hinge, drag them in. So we have cube 1, which is going to be the moving cube, and then cube 2, if we go back to the connector, we could, cube normal there, we could drag that in. Now by default, they're going to hinge around the hinge, but they're going to be connected to the center of the objects, and that's okay for now for this hinge. The only other thing, because if we hit play, nothing happens, right? What we have to do is add the rigid body tags and the dynamics tags to these objects. So this object we don't want to move, so we're going to turn that one on with a collider tag, which basically makes it part of the calculation but doesn't let gravity take hold. It's basically locking this one in place. And this other one here, we're going to add a rigid body tag to, but that's going to have it so the gravity takes a hold. And if we hit play, boom, just like that, you're going to see it works. Now, it almost works. What I would actually like this to do is when it hits the bottom, I don't want it to go through the cube. I actually want them to intersect each other. And this is a setting that is here for a reason. It's on by default, this ignore collisions checkbox. And it's off, or I'm sorry, it's on by default because a lot of the times when you're using these hinges and stuff, you don't want these objects to see each other. But sometimes you do, just like we do right now. So if we turn on ignore collisions, you now see the sphere's gonna, or the cube. It's a cube, Nick. Come on. The cube's going to fall down and then hit the bottom. Now, what's really neat about the hinges and the connectors is you can actually add more and more objects to this. I just duplicated this cube, put it over here, and now we can make a new connector. I'm just duplicating the connector as well. But this connector is going to be connected to cube 1 and cube 2. And then we also have to move the connector over here. Another thing I'm just remembering to tell you guys, you really want to be careful about always being on frame 0 with the new dynamics. It used to be you can kind of let the timeline play and it wouldn't be too much of a deal, but you really have to pause things, go back to frame 0, set it up, and then hit play. And then if you want to make adjustments, always make sure you go back to 0. So just a quick little tip there. Okay, so let's watch this thing now. Now you can see we have two hinges affecting the 3 cubes, and we get some really cool stuff. In fact, we can just extend the timeline a little bit and let them play around. But you can see now we're actually building these with certain tags, with connectors, and we can build these really complex objects right from pretty quickly, actually. So that is the kind of basics for a connector. And stay tuned. I have a bunch more of these short little tutorials about Cinema 4D 12, how to get started with some of these new tools. So stay tuned for more videos. Thank you, as always, for watching. I'll see you in another tutorial. Bye, everybody.